What is going on, YouTube? PPS back. It is week 16 NFL best bets that we're coming at you guys with here. I know 16 already. I can't believe we still only have 2 weeks left. Obviously, there's a lot of playoff implications coming up today. We'll talk about all of these games a little bit here, but joined as always by my guy Stu. How you doing, man? You staying warm out there?
Staying warm. We're starting to catch up to you a little bit, though. You know, I've been able to sit back and laugh a little bit, like, oh, it's snowing over there and it's 40 over here, but it's finally starting to catch up a little bit. So maybe I should stop laughing and start understanding your pain, because it's getting a little rougher. Still no snow yet, but we've got like sleet, all that kind of nasty stuff around here right now. I actually even had to turn my light on, so we're not just sitting in the dark like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, no, we got probably like 3 inches. It's like minus 10 without wind chill, and the wind is obviously pretty shitty here. So, yeah, it's gonna be tough for a lot of these football games, because you're seeing games that are in the cold and in the winter weather stuff sitting in like the mid 30s. Like you're even seeing the Saints Cleveland game at a 32 total. Like when's the last time we've seen something like that?
Well, and even the Panthers, too. The Panthers game, right? Carolina, it's like 30 degrees and cold there. Like, they're not even used to those kind of conditions down there. So, yeah, you got to take a look before you bet anything at the weather this week, 100%. Because, well, we both kind of agreed that snow, sometimes we really overrate that. The wind and the rain can be real nasty. So definitely got to be looking out for those. I think, like you mentioned, Saints is the biggest one this week. That's just supposed to be a disgusting game.
Yeah, dude, I haven't seen a total like that in a while. But yeah, sorry, I had to get my tweet out. I was a little behind this morning on that. So, but yeah, even like Josh Allen again is 220 passing yards again. Like it's tough for me like to not go back. It's like that is so low for a guy like him. And obviously the Bears can't stop the run at all. But it's hard for me to get away from that.
Yeah, just looking at Josh Allen at 220, 230, it just doesn't feel right. Like, we know this is a guy that can do that in like, a quarter. Like, he's literally done that in a quarter before. So it's kind of crazy. And I mean, too, I did see he's back on the injury report, I think, this week.
They pulled him off. They did it on Tuesday. Okay. And then Wednesday he was a full practice. I have him in fantasy, or else I wouldn't know that. But yeah, no, I said he did go up for a day, which was weird. But I think it was just a maintenance thing, because I guess he practiced all week.
All right, perfect. Because I saw that and I was getting a little bit worried. But without the arm injury, that's good. And I mean, we've talked about this before. The Bears are like the best possible passing matchup you can get. I mean, that secondary. They got Kyler Gordon back, and they were celebrating. And Kyler Gordon's been one of the worst coverage guys in the league this year. And they're like, yes, at least we don't have to play a practice squad guy this week. So that should really tell you how good that secondary is. If the weather stays, close enough, Allen should go for like 300 in the first half, especially because, like you said, they still can't run the ball. Like James Cook and Devin Singletary are going to combine, like 9 carries for like 33 yards, and they're just going to throw the rest of the time. That's just how the Bills play.
Yeah, no, I'm in this tough position now, because I'm in the fantasy semis against a team that's pretty good. He's got tough matchups this week, so I need to, like, if I put up a decent score, I should be able to come close or at least pull it out. But I have obviously Allen. I'm going to start Dawson Knox this week, but I also have a flex spot where I have Gabe Davis, Devin Singletary, and then down further on the bench I have like Foreman and then Zach Moss. So it's like I'm kind of like all these dudes are like the same to me, because I'm already starting Rachaad White and I have Fournette on my bench. So like I can't start both of them, no matter how much you probably could against Arizona. But so yeah, I'm going with White and Cook. But now it's like in flex you have Gabe Davis, but I'm already starting Knox. Like there's so many, with these weather games, it's so hard to like pick like this is where it's going to be. Like you're looking at some of these totals, like Gabe Davis is like 35 or 38 yards. It's like, it's nuts. I end up cashing on last game because everybody was afraid of the game, but still, it's just scary when you look at your guys and their props are so low.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, you've got some tough calls. I like White and Fournette though. That's the good thing. I agree with you. It's very hard to pick. Like one of those guys it was almost my show pick today, just because the Cardinals blitz so much, and we know Tom Brady gets the ball out faster than anyone. It's just going to be check down city. But then deciding which guy it's going to be, Fournette, White, that's when it gets obviously a little bit tricky. But hopefully, knowing Tom Brady, there'll just be enough check downs to go around for everybody to cash.
Yeah, no, it's scary when those are the two highest projected of all of those. It's 12 and 13. Those two are projected that many points. And then obviously, I'm still kind of stuck because I think, dude, Zach Moss is tough to bench. Like he could run the ball 20 times realistically in this game with Nick Foles at quarterback. What was your thoughts on that?
Wow, that's a good point. That's a good point. That's Nick Foles back at quarterback. I haven't really spent too much time thinking about that game, I guess. It
Yeah,
seems
it's
like
not till Monday, so we got time. But
yeah, it seems like the Colts are kind of like, is this it? Or are they just like, okay, well, we'll just like I don't even know what the point. Like we know Sam is bad. We know Ryan is bad. I feel like I'd probably go back to Sam just because he's the youngest guy. But Foles, it just feels like an unnecessary stopgap. But yeah, he'll probably check it down a bunch too, right? That wasn't something that Ellinger did, at least when he was in there. So maybe Moss will get those check downs. But they also have Deion Jackson there too as well, right? So just a ton of guys. To be honest, I find it very hard to believe I'm gonna have much action on the Colts at all this weekend. Anyone on their team.
yeah, no, I liked him in Buffalo. I liked how he played. I liked how he runs. Like he's like the bruiser compared to Devin Singletary there. But yeah, enough talking about my fantasy team there. In a week with all of these weather games, if you had to pick one that you like, obviously, again, this is not prop related, just like watching and no hometown teams. What
Yeah.
do we got here?
Well, let's see. I'm trying to figure out how many of them, like Saints Browns, is going to be terrible, right? So, like, those may be like solid teams, but that's going to be like an incredibly hard to watch game. If Bills Bears is going to have some weather stuff, I'd much rather just watch Justin Fields run around for a couple hours. That sounds like way more fun to me. Same with Josh Allen. So, unless one of these real good games is having weather, which I'm not seeing, like is Patriots Bengals, I don't think so, right? They're just a
They're in New
regular.
England or are they in Cincy?
I'm not sure. I can check right now, but
I
I
think
see.
it's New England. Let me check. I'm playing a couple of them this week.
Yeah, it's
They're
in New
at
England. It's in
New England. Ooh.
Yeah, so it's probably going to be cold there, but I don't know. I would have to say, let me just watch Josh Allen and Justin Fields run around for a while. I think that'll be more fun than like Saints Cleveland, which is going to be like what, like 10-6 final score, whoever wins.
Yeah, no, I grabbed Cleveland's defense immediately once I saw all that. And they're in the starting lineup. They found their way into the semifinal starting lineup. Because, I mean, how can you not when you have a team total against you at like 14 and a half? Like, that's disgusting. But I'm looking at it. I want to watch Goat Gino, baby. I want to watch Goat Gino go up against Mahomes. Didn't he get a Pro Bowl nod at Gino? Didn't he get
I
like an
think
alternate
so.
or something? I think
I
he
think
got a
so.
Pro Bowl nod. So
Did too.
he's about to go crazy. I think 10 is actually pretty wild. I mean, their defense is shit. So, I mean, I get it. But I think I want to watch that. I want to watch Gino chuck it around with Patty Mahomes. And I think that'll be a pretty good game. I think 10 is a little bit disrespectful unless we're going to see it at like the end in like the fourth where Mahomes just kind of pulls away. But I think this should be a fairly competitive game for a while. It's just without Lockett, it's kind of tough. It's kind of that's like the security stuff. But I mean, DK against any one of those corners should do really whatever he wants.
Yeah, it's just I have to expect bracket coverage for DK. A lot of safety help over the top with no Lockett. Now we got Marquise Goodwin, who's been a solid wide receiver 3. Now you got to ask him to do a lot. I don't know if you've even looked any farther in the depth chart, but it's not good. They've got some guy named like Penny Hart who just stole a couple catches last week, so shout out to him. Don't like that guy already. Then we got Dwayne Eskridge, who we drafted like 4 years ago and have like never once used since then. I don't know, man. I feel like I don't know. I don't want to be a Geno hater. I feel like that's been my reputation on here. I think Kansas City is going to destroy them. Like I think 10 points does seem like a lot. I don't understand. It's not even on Geno either. How is this defense going to slow down Patrick Mahomes? To me, it's really just, Are they trying this week or are they not? Because when Kansas City isn't trying, any team will cover on them, right? They'll play close games against the Texans. They'll do whatever. They're not in full mode, right? If they come out with like a real game plan this week, there's nothing the Seahawks defense can do. Like absolutely nothing. If it's close, it'll be one of those games where Geno's able to just answer right back after Mahomes scores, and hopefully they have some longer drives. They slow down the clock. They're getting their running back. But I don't know, man. I find it very, very hard to trust the Seahawks against just an excellent Chiefs offense this week.
Yeah, and my beef ain't with that. I agree that they're going to probably score whatever they want. But doesn't 19.5 seem like they're sliding the Seahawks offense? Like that's their team total is 19.5 this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's where I was looking at this, where it's like, I mean, we're seeing these games where there's so much weather shit, and it's like their totals are like 17, right? And I mean, the Chiefs are good, but dude, we just saw the Texans just move up the ball on these dudes. It's like, and now you're going to a Pro Bowl quarterback here, being able to play ball with these guys in more of an open game. I just think 19.5 is just ridiculous.
Yeah, that actually sounds kind of insane. I would have guessed 23.5 is my number for what it would be. So hearing that actually is, I know Lockett is a big deal, but I mean, they should be able to score 20 points, especially if the Chiefs, we think they're going to score 30, right? I think they'll keep it a relatively close game. So that's interesting. I do actually think there's some value there, 100%.
Yeah, no, that was really my only thing with that one. Obviously, looking at some of these other games on the slate, you can obviously tell which ones don't have weather issues. One of those I wanted to talk to you about a little bit. I have a partial play in this one, but Giants Vikings. We have the Giants Vikings here, 48, I believe, is the total here. Vikings are a 4-point favorite at home. Can you even trust the Vikings as a favorite ever anymore?
No, you can't. And I think people were lining up to want to bet against the Giants, and then they actually won last week, which surprised everyone. It feels like the books just didn't know what to do. Like it almost felt like people had locked in Washington as the winner to that one. Now these are two teams that nobody really wants to bet on. I don't know if I can trust the Vikings at that spread. I would say I probably like them on the money line a little bit. You know, they obviously had a crazy turn of events. We don't know how they're going to respond to that coming out here, but I do think the Vikings win this game. But if trusting them to win by more than a field goal is like brutal right now. I don't think I could recommend doing that maybe for the rest of the season at this point, because the Vikings, I mean, they clinched their division, right? Didn't they do that last week as well? So, I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, but I think it'll be a relatively close game because that's how the Giants play. They muck everything up. They try to slow it down, but man, they love to blitz, right? We know this. The Giants absolutely love to blitz. What are they going to do against Justin Jefferson out there? I mean, how are they going to slow this guy down? They can't. They've struggled to slow down wide receiver ones all season. Now you got Jefferson. Are you just going to put him in man coverage like you do everyone else? Because Justin Jefferson will eat you alive if you go to man coverage. So I've got to think they blitz a little bit less. They play more zone. That throws them off their offensive game plan. It'll be interesting to see how the Giants' defensive game plan is here. I think that's a big deal. If Jefferson, we see him on man coverage in the first snap of the game, just live bet 200 yards because he's going to go crazy.
See, this is exactly what I wanted to bring up because this is where I was kind of interested in your opinion here. I'm looking at it, and Jefferson's over-under yards is 89.5. Yeah. This is the lowest we've seen him in probably 2 or 3 weeks. But then you go to the running backs, rushing, receiving lines, and you look at Barkley's 101.5, but Delvin Cook is 98.5. That is wild. That is wild to me that they're expecting more raw yards from Delvin Cook than from Jefferson, where I don't think I've seen that this year, like at all. So is that your, like when we're thinking about this, obviously the Giants do struggle against the run, right? They do struggle against wide receiver ones, but that to me, it's just weird to see Delvin Cook's numbers higher than them. I'm going to talk about Delvin here in a minute. I already have a partial play on him, but it's just weird to see that because we haven't this whole season seen Justin Jefferson under what Delvin Cook's total yards is. And is that just a thing that you think the Giants are going to do here? Do you think that they're going to double him and then you're able to run on these guys? It's a really weird spot to look at because that was really where I wanted to get to because obviously Jefferson demands so much. I don't know how we could see this number under 90 yards.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Is Darren Saw coming back this week? Obviously, one of PFF's highest graded run stoppers in the
I don't
offensive
know. He went
line.
out twice last week.
Yeah. So if he's back, that is good for Cook. The thing is, this offense is so concentrated between these couple weapons that I think Jefferson can go over that 100-yard mark and so can Cook. And I think we're seeing that Cook line even a little bit higher because of how good he was in the receiving game last week as well, right? That kind of is showing people like, oh, he gave this team a jump start, right? And I think people are looking at that and saying maybe we need to consider those receiving yards. I think the what do you call it? The commentators were all over it too. They were like, "Oh, Dalvin Cook's one of the best pass catchers. Look at what he can do." I don't know if that's 100% true, but they were getting fired up there. So I think that could contribute. But overall, I think both guys are going to have good games. I think, like you said, once that safety help comes over and there's one less person in the box, right? One person focused on Jefferson out there. That's just going to mean easier running lanes right here. So I think both guys should have good games. I'd probably just be maybe avoiding some of these ancillary pieces like KJ Osborne, who just had a career game. I don't love betting on guys coming off career games.
No, I'm completely off of him this week. I haven't even looked at him. Even in DFS, his price just went berserk. So we're about 15 minutes in. We got over 30 of you guys in here for our 8 a.m. show. We appreciate you guys tuning in early with us. Let's take a look at the chat, and then we'll get into our bets here, and we'll get this thing rolling. First guy in here, obviously Turbo popping in here. Hope everybody is safe. Yeah, same thing. Same to all you guys. Hopefully you guys are all doing all right and not too cold out there. Drew, appreciate you popping in this morning. Minus 32. That might – I don't know what the wind chill is here, but I'm pretty close. I'm pretty sure we'll be damn close. Like, I'm surprised you can't see my breath right now, how cold it is, man. I got 2 sweatshirts on. I almost had to put my Packer Christmas hat on because it has a little fluff on my ears, but we're hanging in there. 10 inches. Yeah, we didn't get to 10, but I'm pretty sure we're pretty close to you guys in there. 9 degrees here. Yeah, dude, it's wild right now. It's so cold. That's why I'm concerned a little bit. I'm hoping that this wind doesn't stay like this for the Bills game tomorrow as a Josh Allen owner, because right now it's just swirling right now. Jason is in the chat here. I'll get to Turbo's question there a little bit here. Sir Roger, thank you for popping in. Got Terrence as always. Timothy, thanks for popping in with us. And then Jason as well. So all you guys, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll get to our bets here. And then obviously get to some of these questions that we're seeing here in the chat. So without further ado, we will kick it over to you, Stu, for your first play of the game in a game that should be ugly, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys don't see me pull out plays like this very often. I don't think I've done like a touchdown as an official play all season, maybe once last year. So I like betting touchdowns. I think it's fun. But guys, it's also a market that is crazy, right? Anything can happen. Backups. I had 2 tight ends last week for touchdowns. By the way, this is totally unrelated. I had Dulcich and what's his name? Schultz. The backup tight ends both caught. Hendershot caught a touchdown for them.
And Tomlinson, who I think had like 3 catches all year.
What are we doing? So touchdowns, like I don't love them, but I think this quite possibly is the best spot of the season right here. Derrick Henry and the Titans right here, plus 125. This is just, I mean, we know Derrick Henry's history against the Texans is very, very well known. He went for over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns in their matchup earlier this season. Additionally, with Willis under center as quarterback, they have put up historic pass rate over expectations number, and they're not passing a lot. That's the spoiler right there. They have been one of the most run-heavy teams we've seen in the NFL, not just this year. Over the last 10 years, when Willis has had his 2 starts, he's only combined for 13 pass attempts in those – sorry, not combined. He's only averaged 13 pass attempts in his 2 starts. This is a team that, if they run the ball 35 times, I think they win. I don't think we need to see Willis show off this crazy skill set, anything like that. He's still developing, still a young guy. Let's hand the ball off to the running back that the defense has proven they can't stop. I know the line movement's a little bit weird, right? We were seeing 4.5, 5 just the other day. Now it's down to 3, 3.5. I have no clue why you wouldn't bet on the Titans right here. I mean, yes, it's fun. The Texans' little 2 quarterback thing that they're doing. I'm enjoying it just because I think more teams that suck should do stuff like that. Like, why not, right? Why not? The thing is, if you look at Jeff Driscoll's advanced stats, he's awful. He's been absolutely terrible so far this season. Mills has also been pretty bad, but a little bit better. I think they should probably just stick with Mills if they want to win, but I think they're going to keep the 2 quarterback thing alive right here. It's such a good matchup for the Titans defense. What have we known about them all season long? The Titans defense can stop the run, and they absolutely suck at stopping the deep pass, right? They cannot defend a guy deep. Who's Davis Mills getting the ball down the field to? Like, what is this? This Texas offense is terrible. Like, the one thing that the Titans defense can be exploited by, I don't even trust the Texans offense to be able to do. I think this is going to be a game where the Titans control the pace, they control the clock, and Derrick Henry runs the ball 30 plus times. I also think he might get a couple catches, so that could definitely be something to look out for as well. But this just seems like it's a popular spot. I'm not going to lie, but I think this should be -110, -115. So to see it at +125 right now, I don't know why I wouldn't. It's not just on one book. I got this on Caesars. It's +124 on FanDuel, 120 on DraftKings. It's the same odds pretty much everywhere right now, but I don't expect that to stay. So I love Henry. I'll probably even be betting the rush yards. Like Terrence just said, it's not out yet, so I'm not sure why it's not out. There's no information we're waiting for. Tannehill's already been ruled out. I think they're just scared, right? I don't think they want to give us those rush yards. I know it'll be popular, but I can't bet against it right here. I think Henry's going to go off. I think the Titans are going to win this game. This is a real game for the Titans. The Jags are literally catching up to them on primetime. We're all watching the Jags commend this great comeback right here. The Titans need to win this game. They should win this game, and they win this game through Derrick Henry. So at +125, I think this is a great correlated parlay right here.
Yeah, talking about the Jags, shout out Trevor Lawrence coming through. Obviously, looks fantastic again. But yeah, I think this is another spot where I've talked about this like the last couple of weeks because we've seen this type of thing happen where like Brady's completions won't go higher than 27, right? You won't see Mahomes go above 315. If this is under 110, I don't see why you can't hammer that thing, man, because he's going to run the ball at least 25 times, obviously averaging over 4 yards a pop. I mean, I don't think that that's going to be very hard to do against this Texans defense that got shredded by Jerick McKinnon and Pacheco, like by a lot. Like those guys were destroying them until Pacheco fumbled, and then you just saw McKinnon go crazy on him. Like it didn't even matter, who it was. Anybody can run the ball on these guys. So great spot. Obviously, the plus money is even better. And I'm breaking one of my rules here, guys, and I'm betting in a Packer game. I haven't bet a prop in a Packer game in a very long time, unless it's like a touchdown, like something like that, like something crazy like that. But I'm going to a same game parlay over on DraftKings. I'm going to Aaron Rodgers to throw 200 yards, Tyreek Hill 75 receiving yards. That's -115. And I think it's pretty well documented that the Packers can't stop number one receivers when they can move into the slot. We've seen CD Lamb put up 150 on him. You've seen Treylon Burks. He even moved in the slot for a couple plays and ended up getting passes. He had over 100 yards on us. Pretty much every number one receiver that can do this has done it against these guys because they don't have the ability to bring Jair into the slot. They keep him outside. He never moves. He usually picks a side, and that side's completely eliminated. I'd be very curious to see how they're going to line up, but knowing Mike McDaniel, it's not going to be with Tyreek on the outside. They're probably going to put Sherfield out there. They're probably going to put these crap dudes out there to take up that spot by Jair. But looking at these games, right, we've seen number ones go off against the Packers. I don't think it's going to be any different here. It's just weird how some of these games the Packers can mucky the waters, like you said, the Giants can do, and the Packers can do it with the best of them. But the Packers also have a -43% run block advantage this week. They're going to have a shit show coming at them on the ground. David Bakhtiari, I don't know if he's coming back. He just had I think his appendix out. I think he missed last week because of it, but they're not going to be able to run that well. And I think it's going to be those short underneath passes for Rodgers, but also that means we're going to be throwing the ball and Tyreek they'll be having quicker drives, obviously getting them done quicker. And that's really where we've seen the number one receiver struggle because they just don't have the ball, right? That Lions game, Amon-Ra had 55 receiving yards, but they had that was the worst game of football I've ever watched in my life. Like it was just fumble, interception, like all this crap. And now you're going with Tua needing a win, right? The Packers need a win. They need a win. You're going to get the ball in the best player's hand. Just seeing the target rate, again, just absurd. 37 targets in the last 3 weeks for Tyreek Hill. This dude is unreal. Aaron Rodgers has hit this number, I believe, in every single game, or he's hit over 190 yards in every single game, but 2 this year. And that's with us running the ball at a historically high rate for the Packers. In a must-win game, you got to put the ball in your best player's hands. I still think that's Rodgers. I just can't get away from this number. I think that minus 115 is a gift, really.
And Rodgers should actually he got Dobbs back last week. He's now Watson will have a little bit more space. Randall Cobb is someone that he loves throwing to. It's kind of hard to pick the receiver, but when you just take the quarterback, you obviously have access to all those guys, not even counting the check downs to Aaron Jones, which we all know are coming this week. You said it, bro. It's a tough matchup. The Dolphins' run defense is very good. He's at minus 43% advantage right there. That doesn't surprise me whatsoever. The Dolphins obviously have been stuffing the run all season long. That's kind of one of their plans. They stop the run, they play man coverage, and they blitz the quarterback. So Rodgers is going to have to get it out quick, avoid that pressure, and I think Tunyon, Jones, I think Cobb, all these guys are going to have very good games. I think he's just going to be getting it out pretty quickly, and then I don't even know what else we need to say about Tyreek Hill, man. He's been so good to both of us this season. I know you've been on him a little bit more than I have, but just an absolute smash spot right here. Like you said, they're going to just move him all around. And this is an important game. The Dolphins went from like the crown jewel of the NFL to, oh shit, we're not going to make the playoffs. Like we need to go. You know, they played 3 tough teams in a row. They've taken some tough L's, but I think they had an impressive performance against the Bills last week. They definitely showed some life, and I think they come out pretty strong. I hate to say it for your Packers, but I think it's actually great for this bet. I think this is one of those games that could start out 14-0 Dolphins, and the Packers then have to go, okay, maybe we got to give an A.J. Dillon 2-yard draws randomly. Maybe we have to throw the ball a little. And I think that's when it gets a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, and 2 of the best offensive minds in the game here, right? You got LaFleur and McDaniel, obviously pretty strategic in how they get the ball out. And
yeah,
this is the first time that I've actually seen the Packers fully healthy with everybody out there, right? We haven't had that in a very long time. Like I think last week was the first game since game 1 that Dobbs and Watson both played the entire game. And Watson, I think, played like the first half, came out for a little bit, went back out there. He had a hamstring or concussion and stuff. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm really excited to see how these young guys step up in a game against obviously all pro Tyreek and Jalen Waddle as the duo over there. So I'm excited. I think the game is going to be fun. 50-point total in a week where we're seeing many 30-point totals. Who would have thought it would be the Packers game that has a 50-point total?
Yeah, for real. Oh.
Let's get to a question here by Turbo, bringing up same game parlay here. Is this a thought that you might be going to? Obviously, I'm kind of concerned with Fields this week. Honestly, that's just my concern because what do they have to worry about? Yeah. Byron Pringle is going to be the number 1 this week, bro. That's disgusting. Byron Pringle was like the number 6 for Kansas City. Like a number 1 receiver of Byron Pringle and Cole Kmet, bro. Like, why should they not put 9 in the box?
Hey, they have Dante Pettis. I cashed his touchdown week 1 at 18-1. So shout out to Dante Pettis out there, 49ers legend. But yeah, no, that's a great question. No Claypool. It's funny that we're even saying like no Claypool, no Equanimeous St. Brown. Like that would matter to 90% of teams in the NFL. That's how bad this Bears pass attack was already. Now that those guys are out, like you said, they are legitimately starting random guys, like practice squad caliber guys out there. So it'll be tough. I agree. But here's the thing. Even if there are 80 guys in the box, is Fields just going to run every play anyway? Like, it feels like half of his runs are just broken down drop backs that just lead to a scramble, and that can happen at any given day. So maybe I'd rather bet longest rush because he just breaks off these, like, 60-yard rushes where he, like, breaks 2 tackles. Maybe that's where I'd go, but I agree with you. And also, once again, I said this on last week's show, and I still ended up betting his rush yards, but they don't need, like, they shouldn't be running Fields this much. You're playing for nothing. You absolutely should be seeing what you have in his arm. If they bring everybody up in the box, let him throw a deep ball to Dante Pettis. Even if he doesn't catch it, oh, he put that ball on a mark, right? He made a perfect pass right there. We'll know that for the future. Instead, they're just letting him, put his body at risk. So I'm every week it gets deeper into the season, I'm more and more scared of Justin Fields' rush yards, just with the way it's so unsustainable, right? But they're still doing it. So I'd probably steer a little bit clear of that one as well.
So Dante Pettis is the number 2. I'd looked at the props. 17.5 is his receiving prop. Yeah. That's the number 2.
Yeah.
Byron Pringle 21.5. and I looked at Cole Kmet and that's 29.5. That's their top 3, bro.
Wait, do you know what's real funny about this though? I think Fields' passing yards is still higher than Desmond Ritter's is this week. So shout out to him for that. I what is it? Is it 150 then? Fields, something like that?
132.
Okay, let's see what okay, let me
135 on DraftKings.
Okay, well, they're back to back right there. I like that. That's pretty funny.
Jesus, that's terrible. Do you think Watson gets back at it after a slow game? And Rodgers joking about running the crack. Yeah, I mean, that game really didn't require him to have to do as much against the Rams. I still think he's the best receiver we have in terms of being explosive. Dobbs reminds me more of like that Tyler Lockett type of feel where the DK Metcalf is Christian Watson, even though he is brittle as hell. He doesn't look anything like DK, but that's kind of the routes that he's running, right? They're good fantasy routes. They're 15-yard routes, 10-yard routes, lets him beat his guy and do what he needs to do. I think he has a good week, especially in this game environment where they have to throw. You got to remember, Rodgers is throwing the ball like 30 times a game in a lot of these games, sometimes even less. So his target share with 6 targets is actually very high. So that's just something else to look into, is because when we're in the game environments like Tom Brady, where he's throwing the ball 60 times, right, and his guys are getting like 6 or 7 targets, that's nowhere close to the target share that Christian Watson's getting in 30, right, and 20 less throws, right, and that's something you got to make sure you remember too, is that Rodgers does not throw that much. In this game, I think he might have to. So I'm excited to see Rodgers finally get back at it a little bit.
Agreed.
Possibly do a high rush under for Fields instead.
It's probably a stay away from me. Like I don't think like I said, the guy breaks off a 60-yard rush every week. Like I don't know how I could bet the under and feel good about that. You know, it's one of those where it's more like I think you have a better argument to make the over than the under. Just personally, logic is telling me that I shouldn't be betting the over. So for that reason, I'm just going to stay away.
Perfect. And we are to plays number 3 and 4 of the day here. I'll kick it over to you to start us off with this one.
Yeah, DJ Chark, longest reception, over 17.5, minus 114. This is over on FanDuel. Rest of market, that's 18.5, which is obviously a slightly worse number, but I think is still fine. I think this is a perfect buy low spot. This is one of those plays for me, a guy like DJ Chark. He's normally a half unit guy. You know, I normally don't bump these kind of guys up to the full unit, but the more I thought about it, the more I really went through. I think I really like DJ Chark this week. I think this is a really, really good bounce back. If you look at what they did last week, it's very, very simple. They said, sorry, DJ, we're going to line you up against Sauce every single snap. We're going to make no effort to get you open, and we're going to let you just take that brunt, right? You're going to be the one that deals with that. We're going to have Amon-Ra run wild over the slot, and that's going to be our plan. We're going to try to find Jameson deep. We're going to try to find our tight ends deep. Like, that's pretty much what they did. They sacrificed Chark on the outside to one of the tougher matchups in the league, and guess what? He still hit this number, 1 catch for 18 yards. That being said, there was really no attention on him, right? It was an incredibly tough matchup, and that's just how they played the game. It was a smart game plan, too. I like that idea. When you have guys like Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who can make plays all over the field, sometimes you got to sacrifice your outside wide receiver. That's exactly what they did. I think it's going to be different right here. Panthers do have a good defense, and they do have a very good corner in J.C. Horn. Here's the difference. J.C. Horn does follow people into the slot. He played a lot of slot at college. When we see him go up to the NFL, he followed Deontay Johnson in the slot even just last week. We've seen him play plenty of slot snaps this week. So I think this whole idea that J.C. Horn won't shadow and he won't follow Amon-Ra St. Brown around is kind of crazy, right? This is an important game for both these teams, and I think people might be just assuming that he's going to be on the outside. I see it very differently. I like his flexibility. Horn has shown the ability to play all over the defensive side. So I think he's going to be lined up on Amon-Ra St. Brown for most of the game. I think it's going to be a good shadow matchup right there. which I think leaves even better opportunities. DJ Chark, guys, his route participation has been over 90% since he's come back. He's out there running routes. He's a full-time player. Like, you have to think of him like you think of these. He's playing more snaps and routes than Stephon Diggs is, right? He's out there every single snap running routes. So the opportunity will be there. The ADOT, over 15. Guys, this is the guy he's elite ADOT, right? He's getting downfield targets. Almost everything we're seeing DJ Chark is downfield. And then we look at the matchup, right? The Panthers have been giving this up to receivers. If you just look at these last couple weeks, they've been playing terrible passing attacks. Guess what? 2 different Steelers got this against them. Guess what? 3 different Seahawks got this against them. Cortland Sutton got it for the Broncos. Demarcus Robinson got it for the Ravens. We saw 2 different losers get it for the Falcons. Like, these are guys, right? They play terrible pass offenses. All those teams I just listed off, Broncos, Falcons, Ravens. I didn't expect any of these guys to hit it, and most of them had multiple guys hitting this number. So even though Horn has been playing well out there, he can't play the whole defensive side. And we've even seen some of the guys lined up for him against snaps get this number. So while I respect that passing defense, this is an important game for the Lions. I think they're going to struggle to establish the run. I think DJ Chark's going to have plenty of downfield. I mean, he's only running downfield routes, right? I think this is literally one of those bets where it's a one-catch kind of thing. And I just think we're getting a great number based solely on the fact that they sacrificed him last week. It wasn't like he had a bad week. Like, this was the game plan. You're going to go out there and you're going to run the tough routes. That's just how football is. I think when people look at the box score, they assume he had some kind of terrible week. And I think we're getting a discount because of it. Now that we have a much better matchup, I'm all over DJ Chark over 17.5 this week.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to that matchup you already said, talking about J.C. Horn there. I'm going to Amon-Ra again, but I'm obviously buying him down quite a bit. I'm going down to 50 yards. It's like minus 500, but I also really wanted to play Dalvin Cook, and it was like minus 160. So I can't play a minus 160, and this one is definitely the best option that I feel like I have here, going with wanting to bet Dalvin Cook and not wanting to bet 100 rushing yards because DK has these weird little ladders when you do their alt lines where I have to deal with that. So obviously I don't bet the minus 150 plus juice ever. So this is the next best thing. And I get it. I understand that Amon-Ra is going to have a tougher matchup. I get it. But I don't know if it's just like we're thinking JC Horn's going to follow him everywhere or if he's done that, because I'm looking at Pro Football Focus on some of these. I'm looking at a couple other ones, and they have Amon-Ra as like the top 3 in matchup advantage. And I think that's just because everybody else sucks. Everybody else does suck. And we've seen Carolina get absolutely lit up. But what I really like about this game is that both teams, I don't think are going to be able to run the ball. I really don't think Deontay Foreman is going to be able to run the ball. I think we're going to see a lot more Chuba Hubbard get those dump offs on the other side. I think it should be both teams are going to have to pass because Carolina has shown the ability to stop the run, at least in these last couple of weeks when they've actually decided to be good on defense for a little while. And then outside of last week, I'm not going to count last week because I don't even know what the hell happened last week with that shit. Because I started them in fantasy, so that's why they sucked. That's the only thing you really need to know. But when we look at the Lions front seven, they're actually stopping the run now, like very, very well. I was very surprised with how bad they started. So I think this game could get into a little bit more of those passing downs. I think every single one of these underneath routes, Amon-Ra has been getting double teamed on him. He's getting double teamed on like half of his routes out of the slot, and he's still making these plays, still finding a way to get there. Obviously, I love the target share. He's cleared 9 targets in all of his last 4 games, obviously clearing this number in every single one. Clear this number in 9 straight. And one of those games was the worst game, like literally the worst game possible against the Packers. He only had 4 receptions and still got here, right? So that's why I'm going to this versus the receptions that I usually do like because of what you mentioned, because I think he's still going to be able to make plays in the open field. And then Dalvin Cook, obviously, we talked about his elite usage these last couple weeks, 17 plus carries in 3 of his last 4 games. I really do like this matchup this week for Dalvin. I just can't get away from attacking this Giants front seven. Watching the Washington game last week where you knew they were running the ball, Brian Robinson is still 7-8 yards a pop, right? It was just easy, right? And Delvin's been running hard. I don't know if you've watched some of these games, but he's finishing runs. I think it's very nice to see that he's had I'm not fully healthy season because he's had like ankle issues and came out for some games, but he's been able to stay relatively healthy, which for him is huge. That's really been his Achilles heel this whole entire career is he's super explosive, but he's a little bit brittle. This year, he's running through contact. He's not running out of bounds like we've seen in prior years. This dude is running through dudes, and obviously Dalvin Cook with a rushing line, like where I mentioned that he has a 98 a 98 total yards. They're only 3 behind Saquon Barkley against probably the worst defense in football in this Minnesota Vikings in terms of yardage. I was very surprised to see that. But have you seen a rush attempts line for Cook? I don't even know if they're going to put it out anymore because people just keep hammering the over.
Yeah, I can check right now, but I haven't seen one before. They love holding those off for the last minute when they kind of know, when everyone, like you said, has been hitting a prop. They definitely do tend to hold them off. Yeah, I see longest rush, receiving yards. Yeah, nope, no rush attempts right now. So gonna have to wait a little. What do you think it comes out at? What, 17, 18? One of those two?
17 and a half minus 140 or something just to get me to not look at it.
Yeah, exactly. They love doing that, by the way. They love doing that. Yeah, I agree. And I think actually that Brian Robinson example was a really good one. Tons of stacked boxes. A guy that was only averaging, 3.9 yards per carry for his first couple outings. And guess what? He had over 5.7 yards per carry in that one against stacked boxes. So I agree with you right there. I think it's going to be one of those situations where they can get it wherever they want. And I think the two best angles are going to be Cook rush yards and Jefferson on the outside. So I like this play a lot.
Beautiful, beautiful. And just for other people in here who know how much we back St. Brown, are you thinking yards is better than the receptions this week with the matchup?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think they're both solid because, like I said, I'm obviously on DJ Chark, but I'm betting on him to make one play, right? I'm literally betting on DJ Chark to go out there and make one play. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown will be the way more consistent guy. So I like both. I think he probably ends up 6-7 catches around the 80-yard mark, something like that.
Beautiful, beautiful. I don't think we have any other questions here. Appreciate you, my guy. Appreciate you, Drew. Hopefully you guys, 40 of you guys still in here, 40 minutes in. Thank you guys again. Let's go through our recap here. I don't think we have any other questions unless I missed one. Did you see any that I missed in there?
I didn't see any, but you guys still have until we do that touchdown parlay. So if you have any questions, get them in there right now while we're going through our recap, or drop them in the comments. It's 9 a.m. We know not everyone, it's 8 for you, and we know not everyone could make it down here. So if you've got a later question, we're always around. Drop them in the YouTube comments.
Beautiful. Let's go through our recap, and then we'll get to our touchdown parlay and get you guys out of here.
Not the touchdown parlay right here, just a regular play for me. Derrick Henry touchdown, Titans money line plus 125. Then I'm going over to the Lions game. We're going DJ Chark, longest reception, over 17.5 yards, minus 114 over on FanDuel.
Beautiful. And I'll be having a same game parlay of Rodgers to get 200 passing yards and Tyreek to get 75 receiving yards at minus 115 on DraftKings. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, 50 yards, and Dalvin Cook, 75 rushing yards, minus 108. I have that at 1.5 units. I think Terrence just wants to start another fight with us.
I think so.
I mean, you already know who I'm going to go. I have to go Pollard. I just think that this Eagles defense is too fast, bro. Like, you have to be able to beat them to the spots. Zeke ain't beat anybody to spots anymore. He's trying to run through people. And that's why I usually like backing the Zeke touchdown versus anything, because he can get you 2 yards if you need 2 yards, right? And that's kind of the role he's playing at this point.
I'm gonna have to say I completely agree with you right here. And I looked at Pollard 58, and I almost bet it last night. I see it's up to 60 now. I still think that's a good spot. The Eagles' run defense now is suddenly getting a lot of credit. But when you look at the reason why, it's because they absolutely destroyed a couple teams. So, like, Derrick Henry only had 30 rush yards. It's because they got absolutely fucking destroyed. Saquon Barkley only had 30 rush yards. They were behind starting from the first quarter, which means you can't actually run the ball. I don't think that's going to happen right here. Gardner Minshew is now at quarterback. I don't think they're just going to come out and destroy anybody, which should set up very, very good for Pollard and Zeke to be able to both get their touches. So I think they'll both get 14, 15, 16 carries. When we look at it, it's a split. But then who's going to do more with those carries? I think, like you said, it's exactly going to be Pollard right here. So I actually do like Pollard this week, despite people getting a little scared off by the matchup.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles gave up 5 yards a pop to each one of the Packers running backs when they played. The Packers barely threw the ball in that game. because it was 40-33 in that game. Obviously, touchdowns were everywhere, but I mean, you're giving up that type of running game to the Packers, and they're barely even running the ball that much. What's your thoughts here? Are you going to be betting on the Lions?
I mean, I'm not going to bet on them to make the playoffs, but I do think they will. I mean, I think Washington is toast. As a Washington fan, our offensive line is so bad. We made the Giants' defensive line look elite, and guess what? Now we have to play 3 elite defensive lines. Like, we got to play a fake elite defensive line that we made look good. Well, guess what? We get Bosa, Garrett, and Parsons in back-to-back-to-back week. I think we're toast. Washington is toast. Then the Seahawks have to go in to the Chiefs this week and get absolutely beat down. That's just how I think it's going to go, at least. I'm thinking the Lions do have a very good shot, and it's good for football. The Lions in the playoffs will be fun. Maybe Jared Goff will get crushed by 80 points, and then everyone will make fun of him. I'd feel pretty bad for him if that happened, but I would think they'd be a fun playoff team. So if the Washington can't make it, then I do think the Lions probably will.
Yeah, and I know the Packers and them have to play the last week, but honestly, if the Packers lose this week, then they don't have any reason to. They'll probably be seeing Jordan Love out there, right? So,
yeah, good point.
Definitely could help out there in that last game. Obviously, depends on these next two because the Packers are playing Minnesota next week and then the Lions, but the Vikings might not even want to try because they're already going to have their locked up. So that's the toughest part about this 18-game season now, is who's going to need to do anything at this point. Obviously, the Chiefs and the Bills are still fighting for the 1 seed. But like in these 3 to 5 ranges, most of the spots are locked up. You have the division, you're already better than that division. It's good. So it's like it's tough when you don't know how much teams are actually going to try. I know you were going to talk about this guy in a second. Do you want to talk about actually, let's just go to our touchdown parlay and we'll get that in there.
Yeah, I started with J.K. Dobbins right here, who came back from injury. And he actually looks pretty good. And he's even though still complaining, right? I saw he got on Twitter. He said, wait till I get my burst back. I was 1 step away from taking that to the house. He had a great game last week. They just couldn't find themselves in the end zone. I know they're not a good offense. That's the problem here. They're not a good. The Ravens with Huntley are a very, very bad offense. So that's what limits us right here. The good news, like I said, is that Dobbins does not only look good, but the Falcons are one of the biggest run funnels in the league. People run all over them week in and week out, and I expect that to 100% be the Ravens' game plan right here. I expect a heavy dosage of J.K. Dobbins, especially when we get down to the red zone. So I like him this week. I think he's in a good spot. I think I'll probably end up on his yards in one way or another as well. So just to answer your question, I'm on his touchdown, but I do like his yards as well.
Yeah, I'm rolling with Pacheco. Seattle allows 1 rushing touchdown a game to running backs per year. That's crazy. That's 4th worst in the NFL. They're tied actually with the Bears and the Browns. They're both allowing a touchdown per game to the running back position. Pacheco's due too, right? He had a great game. He had 97 total yards, but no one remembers that. All they remember is McKinnon coming in and saving the day after he fumbled, right? And I think that you're going to see him run. I don't know if he could possibly run harder than he already does, but he is about to run through some people in this game. I think this touchdown comes through pretty easily, honestly. Plus 100. It's a plus money spot in a game against one of the worst run defenses, against a team with a 30-plus implied team total. You have Mahomes throwing the ball down the field. If you get inside the 5, they're not running Jerick McKinnon. You're going to run the guy who's going to run through people here. And Seattle's allowed so many guys that have big days this year. I couldn't even go through all of the guys that are there. Obviously over 4.7 yards per pop here. Like, dude, I think this is going to be an absolute smash spot for them, especially with them expected to be up in this game.
Yep, and I also expect them to be up too. So when you said Pacheco, I was all on board. Like I said, I think the Chiefs definitely score a lot right here. Obviously, Seahawks have struggled on run defense and pass defense, but especially that like over the middle kind of pass defense, right? So I think Pacheco should be able to do plenty of work right here. I like both these backs this week.
Beautiful. I think we only have one other question in here. Drew going a little crazy here on us. Plus 2,400 on a no touchdown score. I mean, if you're going to do it, this would probably be the game to do it. So what's your thoughts here with the Chubb stuff coming out that he's, I guess, not even practicing this week?
Yeah, so I made a bet on Taysom Hill touchdown at plus 300. I think that's good value. I also do think this is a solid value as well. I think he'll, if anyone on the Saints is scoring. But yeah, with these, the thing about betting on conditions when it's not right before the game is things can still change, right? I mean, like the game could not rain for the first half, or the winds could die down for the first half, or vice versa. And then you'd feel absolutely screwed by this, right? Because it's the fucking weather. Are we gonna, I mean, do you depend on the weatherman to do anything in your day to day life? I feel like when you watch that shit, it's like right half of the time, right? So I kind of would like to apply that to football, where I don't love betting solely based on the weather right here. But yeah, I do think I don't like this game at all. Like I don't want to be betting on this game. So I have my Hill touchdown. I'll probably stick with that. But I think there's a lot worse bets you can make than this. I'll say that.
I mean, what do you think this line would be at if it was in a normal weather condition? I don't think it's going to be that much higher. Dude, these teams suck.
Yeah,
There's
like
no
37.
Olave, no Jarvis Landry. Like, you're going to have 7 dudes in the box, maybe 10. Maybe you might not even need a receiver in this game with just running Alvin Kamara into a brick wall every single play. That's pretty much what's going to happen, because who are you going to throw it to?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to have to bring in Taysom Hill for those packages, because I think that's the only way you move the ball. Like, this team is beat up. Cleveland is not good. I mean,
I'd like to say I think Taysom Hill is playing a bigger role than people think in this game. And I think the sports books agree with me. His rush yards is at 37. Taysom Hill isn't placed like that unless he's the starter, right? I don't think he's officially going to be the starter in this game. With terrible conditions, I have a very, very strong feeling that Taysom is going to see a maybe 50-50 at least split of the snaps right here at quarterback. Well, like you said, who are they going to throw it to? You might as well embrace the Taysom Hill mentality and just let him go run through a brick wall. Because guess what? It takes Alvin Kamara like 25 carries to get 80 yards at this point. So I'll take all the Taysom Hill I can get.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I think that is all for us, gang. Obviously closing in on Christmas. Hopefully you guys have a Merry Christmas. I'll kick it over to you, Stu. What do you got for the people here before we head out?
Yeah, no, I mean it's an early morning, right? So we've got plenty of stuff ahead of us. I know I'll have some more NFL props, but also we've got a huge NBA slate today as well, right? Tons and tons of games. Even my Wizards on a back-to-back once again. So we'll have bets, both of us, Twitter, Pickett, all these different places. If you want to follow us on Pickett, code PTP gets you between $3 and $100, completely free app. Both of us are posting stuff over there. Sorry, I remember, I think you asked me this in Discord, Taysom over Kittle in fantasy. That's so hard, but I don't know. Do you think no? I think yes. I mean, for me, if Cam Curl plays for Washington, then I'd rather play Taysom. But our number one safety did pop up questionable this week. But Washington's been very, very good against the tight end this season. So I would say Taysom just gives you crazy upside that like no one else does. So I would probably risk it and play Taysom.
Yeah, risking it. And I just don't like how Kittle gets like 3 catches a game. Like, that's really what his role is. It's not volume at all.
Yeah.
And it's so scary because, I mean, what tight end does give you volume outside of Travis Kelce? So, I mean, the tight end is tough. And, I mean, that's the one position I think you can punt at and feel okay with it,
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe I didn't get any Taysom Hill tight end eligibility this year. That felt like a cheat code at times. But yeah, Kittle, just tough for me. I mean, Kittle, the crazy part, like he's such a good real life player. Like this guy turns a 6-yard catch into like a 14-yard catch every time he touches the ball. He drags like 3 guys with him. It's very impressive. But I think they're going to be asking him to do a lot of offensive line work as well against that Washington pass rush, right? Chase Young is back for the first time. We'll see if Street Clothes got anything left in him so far, But yeah, it'll be interesting. But I think I'd have to risk it and just roll the dice that Taysom gets you some crazy numbers. Maybe a kick return touchdown. Who knows?
Oh God. Yeah, Evan Ingram, show out last night, my friend. Show out. So yeah, Stu, what do you got? What was I gonna say? You had what was Taysom Hill's line at for you on that touchdown?
It was 300 last night, or when I posted on Twitter yesterday. I posted at 300. I think I saw maybe 285, something like that, still lingering around, which I think is solid. I would have put it, if it was my sports book, it would be plus 190. That would be my line for Taysom Hill touchdown. So I'll take it over that.
No action on Stu's book.
Exactly. I don't want it.
Stu's out of business in a week. Stu ain't making no money. He's putting everything minus 250s or above, and then every touchdown is plus 100 or lower. That's
you guys would
book.
hate my book because I know what would be the most popular Twitter play every day, and you'd have to play Zion at 32 points this week. It's just how it is. You'd have to play LeBron at no SGA's line for me every day. That's like 36 and a half. Good luck.
Nice. Yeah. Well, Stu would be out of money in about a week because there'd be nobody betting on his book. But other than that, guys, we appreciate all you guys tuning in for our morning one. I'm surprised at how many of you guys got up early with us and decided to come pop in. Obviously, still 35 of you guys in here. Appreciate you guys popping in and drop a like if you could. Also, Merry Christmas. Hopefully, you guys have a safe travels around. Obviously, we know the weather's been pretty shit everywhere. So hopefully you guys can get to your places unscathed. So have a good one, guys. Like I said, Merry Christmas, and we will see you guys on Monday. And hopefully we'll be kicking off the new year and stuff with some good stuff. Dude, I can't get over this NBA slate on Christmas, bro. This is going to be awesome because the NFL games, besides my Packers, are garbo. Who wants to watch Denver on Christmas, bro? That's criminal. That's like coal in your fucking stocking, dog. That is so bad. But have a Merry Christmas, guys. I had to get that off my chest. Have a good one, guys, and we'll see you guys on